dusty piano player set a locket on the table. Inside was a photo from her baptism. "You remember this, don't you?" she says. Her voice shakes. "From my neck, from my baptism." The courtroom doesn't breathe. No one moves. No creak from the benches. No cough from the back row. Just the sound of Nora Langley's boots crossing the warped wooden floor. She slams the locket down hard. It clicks open. Dust lifts from it like smoke. A rusted chain spills across the judge's desk. Inside, a photo, curled at the edges, water-stained, faded, a baby in white, held by a man in uniform, Sheriff Bell. Judge Calhoun squints at the picture. His brow tightens, then goes loose like old rope. He blinks, but his hand stays still, not touching the locket, not even close. Sheriff Bell leans forward in his seat, doesn't speak, doesn't blink. His face is pale and wide-eyed, like a man seeing a ghost in daylight. "I didn't give you permission to approach the bench," Calhoun says finally. "I don't care," Nora says. "That photo belongs here, right here, where all your lies rot." A low murmur from the pews, whispers snapping like twigs. Bell stands. "What is this?" "You baptized me," Nora says. Her hands tremble, but she won't let them see. "You held me under, Sheriff, and you smiled like you were doing something holy." "I never." "I got the dress still. I got the tapes. My mama kept everything, even the bruises." "You're out of line," Calhoun snaps. "You speak when spoken to. You're the one who lied under oath." Her eyes flash toward him. "You and him both covered each other like dogs in the barn." Bell's voice is low. "You shouldn't have come back. You shouldn't have touched her." Joelle Langley stands in the back row, arms crossed, lips tight, doesn't move, doesn't blink. Nora doesn't look at her. Not yet. She nods toward the table where her father sits, his hands cuffed, his face like wet ash. Governor Clyde Langley, silver hair, fine suit, wide, dead eyes. "I was 12 when she died," Nora says, voice cutting through the air. "And nobody came. Nobody looked. Just a note and a rope and silence. And this town pretended it was normal." "She was sick," Calhoun mutters. "Your kind of sick," Nora says. "The quiet kind. The kind y'all like best." Bell walks forward, slowly, one hand on the holster, the other free. The room tenses. "That locket's fake," he says. "Photoshop. Your mother was paranoid. She used to call my office 3 times a week, saying we were inside her walls. She was right. You better watch your mouth, girl." Nora lifts her chin. "My name ain't Girl, and it sure as hell ain't Langley." Silence folds in again. Hot, dry silence. The ceiling fan spins, loose and slow. Dust circles down like ash. From behind the judge's desk, the court reporter clears her throat, but doesn't say a word. Nora's hand closes over the locket. She snaps it shut. The sound cracks like a gunshot. She breathes, steady, then turns to the room. "You all knew," she says. "Every last one of you. The bruises, the visits, the midnight screams. And you shut your mouths, sat in your pews, took your communion, and watched her die." A woman near the front shifts uncomfortably. The Reverend's wife, her eyes on the floor. Judge Calhoun shifts in his chair. "Miss Langley." "I'm not done." She pulls a folded paper from her coat pocket, opens it slow. It shakes in her hand. Torn edges, smudged ink. "My mother wrote this a week before she hung herself in that bedroom you bastards left full of ghosts." Bell's jaw tightens. His eyes don't leave the paper. Nora reads. "He comes at night now, always in the same shirt. Smells like beer and sweat and silence. The sheriff says God don't watch what happens after midnight. He tells me I ain't holy no more. I lock the door, but it don't matter. It never matters." Gasps. 1 or 2. The rest stay quiet. Nora folds the page. "That sound holy to you?" No one answers. She drops the paper next to the locket. Both sit there like proof, like bones dug up too late. Bell steps closer, voice low. "You need to go on home before this gets worse." Nora stares up at him. This ain't even started. A crack echoes through her skull, not in the room, but inside her. Her mother's voice, whispered, faint, just behind her ears. Some truths come out like blood from bark. She steps back, her chest rising, face blank, cold. "I'm ready to testify." Calhoun shakes his head. "You weren't summoned. You're not on the docket. I'm the reason this town's rotting. Joelle speaks from the back. Stop, Nora. Nora turns. Joelle's arms are tight over her chest. You don't know what you're stirring. I know exactly what I'm stirring, Nora says. I lived in that house. I know what the floors remember. You dig up bones, Belle says. You better be ready for what they bring. Nora smiles, just barely. You better be ready for who remembers them. The room stares. Clyde Langley groans, leans forward like he's going to vomit. The bailiff steadies him. His eyes land on Nora. Hollow. He speaks, but barely. She made you wrong, he says. Nora's voice is flat. No, you made me right. Outside, a storm gathers. Not rain, not yet, but wind, dust, the kind of quiet that only comes before something breaks. Inside, Nora picks up the locket, opens it again, holds it high so everyone can see. That man held me underwater, and all of you let him. Belle reaches for her. She steps back. Try it, she whispers. Go ahead. His hand freezes in midair. A long pause. Then Judge Calhoun slams his gavel once. We're adjourned. Chairs scrape. People rise, avoiding her eyes, hiding behind hats and hair and shame. Nora stands still. The courthouse begins to empty. Joelle waits, doesn't leave. Belle walks back to his seat, sits down slow, like his legs are full of nails. Calhoun walks out without a word, his robe trailing dust. Only the piano in the corner stays silent, covered in a thick gray cloth, but humming in her memory. She walks over, pulls the sheet back. Dust billows. She touches one key. It makes a sound like breath escaping. Joelle speaks behind her. You shouldn't have come back. Nora doesn't turn. You should have told me. I tried. You whispered. I needed shouting. Joelle's voice softens. He's dangerous, baby. I know. So am I. Nora closes the locket again. The photos already burned into their eyes. The courtroom is empty now. Just the two of them, and the dust, and the ghosts. Joelle takes a step forward. Where are you going now? Nora sets the locket on the piano. Home. You sure? No. Joelle watches her walk out the door. Her boots echo down the hallway. The wind kicks up outside. Dust curls around the doorframe like smoke from a fire not yet lit. The piano sits quiet, but for a moment, it almost sounds like it's still playing. The locket glinted like it was sweating. Metal crusted in rust, that photo catching the low light. The fan above creaked slow. No one touched it. No one dared. Nora stepped back, face steady, voice tighter. He baptized me. He raised me. But he ain't my father. A gasp broke somewhere near the back pew. Chairs shifted. Calhoun stared down from his bench like he hadn't heard right. What did you say? He asked. You heard me. Nora snapped. Clyde Langley raised me. Sure. Paid for school. Cut my sandwiches. Put bruises on my mama's arms. But he ain't my father. Belle stood again. She's confused. I'm not. That ain't how this works. It's how it worked in our house. Clyde cleared his throat. His hands were still cuffed, but his voice carried. Nora, you don't get to speak my name. He flinched. Calhoun looked between them like a man watching a rope tear. Nora, if you're claiming, I'm not claiming anything. I'm stating it. Sheriff Bell is my biological father. The room filled with buzzing. Fast, ugly whispers. Joelle didn't move. Arms still crossed. Eyes locked on Nora like she'd known this was coming. Just didn't want to see it land. Sheriff Bell laughed once, loud, sharp. That's crazy talk. You held me in that photo. I never did. My mother wrote it down. She was paranoid. She was right. You accusing me of something? I'm accusing you of everything. Belle's face reddened. I never touched her that way. Then explain the photo. That could be any man. It's you. You can't prove it. I ain't here to prove. I'm here to remember. Judge Calhoun raised his gavel half-heartedly. Enough. Nora stepped closer to the bench. You sat on my daddy's campaign for 10 years. You think I don't know you signed off on covering this up? You don't have the standing to make those claims. I've got my mama's words. They're not evidence. They're truth. She reached into her coat, pulled out the folded pages, torn edges, ink faded but still legible. She spread them on the desk beside the locket. Calhoun didn't reach for them, neither did Belle. But everyone leaned closer. The room wanted to read, to know. She wrote this when I was 6. Said Belle kept coming around, that he'd show up after church smelling like sweat and chewing tobacco. She said he called her God's mistake. Belle shook his head. That ain't real. She said you threatened her. No. She said you told her no one would believe her. Stop. She said she couldn't breathe with you in the room. I said stop. Calhoun slammed the gavel. Order. Nora shouted over him. She wrote that you were in the house the night I was conceived, that you weren't invited, that you stayed anyway. Belle's voice dropped low. You better quit. Girl. I'm not your girl. You don't get to smear my name. You smeared it yourself. You don't know what that woman was. I know she broke. Silence again, the kind that came from people realizing they didn't want to be seen agreeing. Clyde finally lifted his head. His voice was raspy. She needed help. She needed safety, Nora said. She was unstable. She was trapped. Calhoun cleared his throat. Miss Langley, the court will review. Don't call me that. What? My name's not Langley. It's your legal name. It's a lie. You'll need to file a motion if... I'm not here for legal comfort, Judge. I'm here to speak. Belle stepped closer. You came in here to start a fire, but you ain't got enough matches. I brought a torch. Joelle spoke up from the back. Nora, please. Nora turned. Don't. This ain't the place. No, it is. It's the only place. All these years you sat quiet. You watched her fold in on herself. You knew. I didn't know at all. You knew enough. Joelle's eyes burned. You think I didn't want to stop it? You didn't. I was scared. She was dying. A pause. Heavy, thick with too much unsaid. Nora looked back at the bench. At the photo. At the gavel. At the piano in the corner, its sheet still pulled off from before. Keys stained. Untuned. Calhoun sighed. We'll break for recess. No. Belle snapped. Let her finish. I'm not done, Nora said. Go on then. She kept these pages under the floorboards, in the study, wrapped in a towel, the inks smeared in places from water damage. But the truth's still there. You can't confirm that, Calhoun said. I can read. You think this'll hold up in court? It don't have to. It'll hold up in memory. Belle leaned in. You think people gonna change sides just 'cause you got words on paper? I think they already did. Nora turned to the crowd. Let her eyes scan the room. A few women avoided her stare. One wiped tears with a knuckle. She died thinking no one would believe her. Y'all proved her right. Until now. Belle stepped forward again. You done? No. You keep this up. You're gonna burn with them. Nora looked him dead in the eyes. Then strike the match. He froze, jaw tight, chest heaving. Calhoun sighed again, deeper this time. We're done for now. 20-minute recess. He banged the gavel. The courtroom stirred. People rose, slow. Some shook heads. Others leaned in close, whispering. The pews emptied like water draining slow. Everyone walking like their feet were heavier than they remembered. Belle didn't move. Neither did Clyde. Nora stood frozen at the bench. Only Joelle walked forward, quiet, measured steps. She stopped a few feet away. You shouldn't have come back. You should have told me the truth. I didn't want to ruin you. You let them raise me. I thought I was protecting you. You were protecting them. Joelle's lips trembled. I couldn't stop what already happened. You could have stopped what came after. They threatened me. They ruined her. The piano hummed. Or maybe it didn't, but Nora heard it, a faint note vibrating like it lived inside her ribs. Joelle looked down at the pages. You gonna show the whole town. I'm gonna let the truth rot in daylight. You want revenge. I want her peace. She's gone. No, she's humming. Joelle blinked. What? Nora walked to the piano, placed her hand flat on the keys. Didn't press, just rested. She played when he heard her, said the sound was louder than the walls, said it made her feel like she could breathe. Joelle stepped closer. Nora pressed one key. A low note. Dust rose. Silence swallowed it. I'm staying, she said. For what? For the ones who didn't get to speak. Joelle didn't argue. Outside, the wind picked up. Leaves scraped the windows. The fan overhead wobbled. Inside, Nora stared at the keys. And behind her, Belle stared at her back like he was watching something old crawl out of the floorboards. Joelle's truck rattled over the gravel like it hated being there. Nora kept her hand closed around the locket, thumb rubbing the edge of the hinge. The road twisted once, then opened into dead grass and dirt. The Langley farmhouse stood at the end like something left too long in the sun. Paint peeled, boards nailed crosswise over every window like a warning. Porch sagged under the weight of years nobody wanted to remember. Joelle parked without a word. Engine clicked as it cooled. Nora stepped out slow. Heat hit her, thick and flat. Dust clung to the air. She kept it shut up tight, Joelle said finally. Didn't want light in. Said it made the ghosts move. Nora looked at her. You believe that? I believe she did. They didn't speak again until the front door creaked open. The air inside was stale, smelled like paper, old wood, and whatever rots in silence. Joelle walked in first, keys in one hand, something else tight in the other. Maybe a prayer. Power still works, she muttered. I've been paying it, just in case. Nora stepped past her. The walls were the same. Same crooked cross above the kitchen doorway. Same stain on the rug by the stairs. Same cracked photo of her mother in the hallway. The one where she wasn't smiling. I'm sleeping in her room, Nora said. Joelle froze. You sure? Yeah. I ain't stepped in there since she passed. I know. Joelle looked away. I'll be in the guest room. If you need anything. Nora nodded, watched her walk off. Listened to the soft click of a door shutting down the hall, then turned, slow, and made her way to the study. The door creaked open easy. The room was dim, curtains drawn, nailed from the inside. Light seeped through cracks like it was scared to come all the way in. The piano sat against the far wall, same one from the courthouse. Same scratch across the front, same broken pedal, covered in dust thick as flour. A photo frame rested on top, face down. Nora walked over, flipped the frame. Her mother's face again. Younger, holding Nora in one arm. Clyde behind her, out of focus. Sheriff Bell near the edge of the shot. Hand on her mother's shoulder. She set the frame down, brushed her fingers across the keys. A note sounded, flat, warped, like something trying to remember how to sing. Nora closed her eyes. A scream echoed in her head, sharp and full of air. A man's voice shouting. A door slammed, then another, then silence, then a hymn, soft, trembling, played under the noise. She opened her eyes. The piano sat still. Dust settling again. She moved to the bookshelf, pulled back a row of hymnals, found a gap, reached in. Her fingers touched paper. She pulled out a sealed envelope, yellowed, edges brittle. On the front, if you find this, he knows. Her chest tightened. She didn't open it. Not yet. She walked the envelope to the bedroom, her mother's room, pushed the door open. The air was colder, like it had been waiting. Bed made, neat and tight. Bible on the nightstand. Mirror covered with a pillowcase, knotted at the corners. A single hairbrush still on the dresser. A white button-down dress hanging behind the door. Untouched by dust, Nora sat on the bed, looked at the envelope in her lap. Didn't move. The house creaked around her. Wood settling. Pipes groaning. From somewhere near the floor, she thought she heard the piano again. One low note, then nothing. She laid back on the bed, closed her eyes. The dream came fast. She stood at the edge of the old church, burned down years ago. The cross still stood, blackened, crooked. Smoke curled up from the earth, even though nothing burned. She stepped inside. Water ran down the aisle, not clean, murky, red in places. Her dress soaked fast. She looked ahead. The baptism pool was full, still, heavy. Something floated there, silver glint, a locket. She stepped in, water up to her waist, then her chest. The locket drifted closer. She reached out. A hand grabbed her ankle. She woke up choking. The room was dark. She sat up fast, sweat on her neck, hand still clutching the envelope. A knock. She turned. Joelle stood in the doorway. You all right? Nora didn't answer. Joelle stepped inside, just 1 foot. I heard something. The piano, Nora said, voice raw. Joelle didn't blink. I figured. It played. It does that sometimes. Nora stared. What do you mean? Joelle looked at the wall. It plays. When it wants to. Nora stood, walked over, held up the envelope. You seen this? Joelle looked down at it, mouth tight. I sealed it, she said. She wrote it. I told her to. Why? She said if she disappeared, someone had to know. I didn't disappear. You were a baby. What were we supposed to do? Protect her. We were scared. She was more scared. Joelle looked like she wanted to cry, but didn't, just nodded. You sleeping now? No. Good, Joelle said. Then maybe you're ready. For what? Tomorrow. What's tomorrow? The beginning. Joelle left. Quiet again. Nora stood there, envelope in hand. She didn't open it. She slid it under the bed, just like her mother used to. Lay back down, stared at the ceiling. Somewhere beneath her, a single note rang out, then another, then silence. Smoke curled in through the cracks in the window, sweet and thick. Nora sat up slow, blanket twisted at her legs. Her feet hit the cold floor. The house held still. Joelle hadn't stirred. She stepped outside barefoot, dirt cold under her soles, wind low, air dry. The sky still dark enough to swallow shapes whole, but she followed the smoke. It came from behind the sheriff's station. Bell stood alone with his sleeves rolled up and a fire burning inside a rusted barrel, his back to her. Flames high, papers curled black, floated like dying moths. Nora walked right up, didn't speak. Bell didn't turn. You always rise this early? What are you burning? He poked at the pile with a stick. Trash. Looks like files. Trash files. What was in them? Old things. Didn't matter. Let me guess. My mama's name. Bell finally turned. What do you want? Nora? I want to know what was in those pages. She wrote too much. She wrote the truth. She wrote what she believed. She wrote about you. She was confused. She was scared. She was sick. You raped her. Bell didn't flinch. He let that word sit between them, thick as tar. He looked at her, slow. That's a word girls toss around when they don't like how things turned out. Nora stepped closer. Don't say girl to me. You weren't there. You don't know what she was. I know what she became. She lied. She bled. She came to me. You forced her. Bell stepped toward her. She wasn't some damn angel, Nora. She was wild. You think your mama didn't know how to twist a man? She was 17. She wanted power. She wanted peace. Bell's voice rose. She wanted out of that house. She used me to get there. You held her down. He lifted his arm, showed her the inside of his forearm, a scar, long and faded. She bit me once, drew blood. She was trying to survive. I was trying to help. You broke her. She was already broken. Nora's voice dropped. You're still doing it. Bell looked back at the barrel. The fire snapped. You know what this town does with broken women? They bury 'em. They forget 'em. They call 'em liars. Same thing. Bell let the stick fall into the flames. Your mother was a sad story, but that's all she was. A story. No. She was a warning. You think anyone's going to care what a ghost wrote in a diary? I care. You're one girl with a name half this town wants to forget. Then I'll make 'em remember. Bell stepped forward again. Close enough she smelled the smoke on his breath. His eyes were tired but sharp. You want to be her? I already am. He studied her, said nothing. Nora's jaw set. Good men don't carry fire. Bell tilted his head. Then what do they carry? Truth. Truth's heavier. Not for me. He turned away, walked inside the station, left the door open, didn't invite her. The fire kept burning. Nora stepped closer, looked down. What hadn't turned to ash yet sat at the bottom of the barrel. Charred edges. Half a sheet of music. Notes faded, smudged. A rosary half melted, chain twisted in on itself. A leather cover peeling back from a water-warped hymnal. Her mother's name scratched faint on the spine. The wind shifted. Ash blew up into her face. She blinked it away. Somewhere behind her, she heard a single piano note. Not loud, not near, but deep, familiar. She turned. No one there. The street was empty. The town still asleep. The sky still gray. She looked back at the fire. The last page curled, blackened, folded in on itself. Nora didn't speak. She just stared and listened. The sound was soft. Just one note, hanging in the air like breath. Nora followed it past the fields, past the oak line where the road turned to gravel. She didn't rush. Her feet knew the way. The church ruin stood crooked against the gray sky. Roof half-caved, black streaks running down scorched siding. A hole where the cross used to be. Everyone said it burned from lightning. Nobody asked what it struck. She stepped over the busted threshold. Inside was cold, darker than it should have been for morning. The piano was gone, but she still heard it. Not notes, just vibration, the kind that made your teeth ache. The baptism pool sat in the back where it always was, sunken into the floor. Concrete chipped, tiles gone gray. The water hadn't moved in years. No ripples, no frogs, just still, like something watching, stagnant and deep. Nora stepped closer. The surface was black, oil thick. She crouched, couldn't see the bottom, couldn't smell anything but rust and mold. She rolled up her sleeves, slid one arm in. The cold hit like a punch. Her breath caught. She leaned forward, reached further. Something brushed her fingertips. A chain, metal, tangled. She gripped it and pulled. It didn't budge. She braced herself and yanked hard. A snap. The chain broke loose. Water shifted. Bubbles rose, thick and slow. The surface rippled once, then went still again. At the end of the chain, a locket. Rusted, crusted in grime, same as hers. She opened it. Inside, a photo. Faded, but not hers. Another baby. Same white dress. Same pose. Same backdrop. Not her face. Nora stumbled back, sat hard on the cold tile. The air spun. She stared at the picture, hands shaking, footsteps behind her. She turned fast. Joelle stood at the edge of the ruin, still, like she'd been there a while. Nora held up the locket. This ain't me. No? There's another. There were others. Nora's face twisted. How many? I don't know. You said. I lied. Why? Joelle didn't answer. Nora's voice cracked. Why'd you lie? Joelle stepped forward, slow. Because the truth wouldn't fix nothing. It would have saved her. Joelle shook her head. Nobody could save her. She screamed at night. You heard her. Yes. She played piano so loud just to drown it out. I know. You sat in the next room. I was scared. She died anyway. Joelle's voice dropped. She wasn't the first. Nora stared down at the photo. Her fingers clenched the locket until the edge bit skin. I thought I was the reason. You were the last. Nora's stomach twisted. She turned her head and vomited. The water, the smell, the silence. It was too much. Joelle didn't move, just stood there. Nora wiped her mouth with the back of her hand. How long you gonna pretend you didn't help them? I never helped them. You stayed quiet. That's the same thing. Joelle's eyes welled but didn't break. I tried to stop him once. What happened? He hit me, told me to stay in my place. So you did. I didn't know what else to do. You should have done something. You think I don't carry it? Nora screamed, loud, raw. Why'd you all let this happen? Joelle flinched. You let it happen. We didn't believe her. Why? She talked strange, heard things, said the house had memory. We thought she was sick. She was. Because of him. She got pregnant and said it wasn't Clyde's. Said it came from something older. Older? Joelle nodded. Said it was cursed, that he baptized her wrong. That he whispered in tongues. Nora stared at her. You believe that? I didn't, but maybe I should have. Nora looked down at the pool. The water was still again. Quiet. The locket in her hand felt heavier. She said it never drained, Joelle whispered. What? After he touched it, after her first baby died, it just stayed full. Nora stood, weak. Her knees trembled. She buried the others? I think so. Where? I don't know. You were there. I turned away. Nora shoved the locket in her coat pocket, looked at the dark water one more time. Burn it, she said. Joelle blinked. What? This place. Burn it again. It's already dead. It's still breathing. Joelle stepped forward. What are you going to do? Nora walked past her. I'm going to find the rest. She didn't wait for Joelle to follow. She just kept walking, back toward town, toward the courthouse, toward the dust. The piano hummed in the back of her skull, like it had found something worth remembering. The locket stayed cold in her palm the whole walk back. She didn't open it again. She didn't have to. That baby wasn't her. The cloth inside was blue. Her baptism had been white. The photo didn't lie, even if everyone else did. The house stood still under a low sky. No birds, no wind, just quiet. The kind that waited for you to make the first move. Nora didn't knock. She didn't speak. She walked through the front door and out the back. The garden was dry, half dead. Weeds knotted through the soil. The magnolia tree still stood, wide and tall, blossoms long gone. Her mother used to sit under it. Back when she smiled more than once a year, Nora grabbed the rusted shovel from the side wall. No gloves, just dirt under nails and breath in her throat. She started to dig. 1 foot, 2. The dirt turned dense and dark near the roots. Joelle stepped onto the porch. Quiet. Nora didn't look up. "You know what you're doing?" Joelle asked. "I think so." "You sure you want to see?" "I already did." Joelle stayed where she was, one hand on the porch rail, knuckles white. Nora's shovel hit something soft. She dropped to her knees, dug with her hands. Careful, slow. A faded quilt, small, faded purple, wrapped around something light. She pulled it up. Joelle made a sound in her throat, choked it back. Nora unwrapped it. Fabric stiff from time, bones inside, tiny, fragile, a full set, skull the size of an apple. She stared down, chest hollow. Joelle whispered, "You weren't the first." Nora didn't blink. "You were the only one who lived." "I figured." She tried to bury them proper, didn't trust the graveyard. Because of him? Because of all of them. Nora wrapped the bones in a clean cloth she'd tucked in her waistband, a dish towel from the kitchen. It still smelled like lemon soap. She laid the bones down inside, tied the corners like her mother used to when packing pies. She looked up at Joelle. What was her name? Joelle swallowed. "Celia." Nora nodded. "She mine?" "No." "She hers?" Joelle hesitated. "Yeah." "She looked like me." Joelle didn't answer. Nora stood, carried the bundle to the spot beneath the tree, dug deeper, this time slower. She wanted the earth to feel it. When the hole was done, she lowered Celia in, covered her soft. The last scoop of dirt landed like a full stop. Nora sat back, legs crossed, palms on her knees. She whispered, "Celia." Joelle stepped off the porch, walked over, stopped beside the grave. "She was 2 months," Joelle said. "Didn't cry much." He didn't like that. "Sheriff?" Joelle nodded. "Did she die in this house?" "Yeah." "Did Mama try to tell anyone?" "She tried." "Did you?" I froze. "Still freezing?" "No." Nora looked up at the house. The windows were shut, curtains drawn, still nailed, but something moved, just a flicker. "Did he know?" she asked. "Clyde?" "Sheriff." Joelle nodded. "He knew." "Did he help bury her?" "No. Your mama did it alone, middle of the night." "Did she say goodbye?" "She played." Nora closed her eyes. She could hear it. A piano low and cracked, a hymn she didn't know the name of, a slow broken lullaby. Inside her head, a flash, her mother in the dark, hands shaking, pressing keys to drown out footsteps, a door slamming, a man's voice, her own crib in the corner. Nora opened her eyes. The wind rose sudden, strong. The shutters banged shut. Joelle looked toward the house. "You feel that?" "Yeah." Something snapped inside. Wood. Wire. A piano string. Sharp. Loud. Final. Joelle whispered, "She's awake." Nora didn't speak. She just looked at the tree. Anne breathed. Nora dropped her boots by the door. Mud soaked through her socks. Her hair clung to her face. She didn't shake the rain off, didn't breathe heavy. She walked straight to the dining table and started laying it out. 2 lockets, one open, one closed. The old baptism photo with the water stain curling its edge. Diary pages folded in half, ink faded but legible. The cloth wrapped around Celia's bones, initials stitched rough in one corner. A name too small to scream. She smoothed everything out with slow hands. Joelle leaned against the doorway. "You ready to be hated?" "I already am." Joelle didn't argue, just nodded. "You want me to come?" "No." Nora reached into her coat, pulled the recorder from the pocket, and pressed play. Sheriff Bell's voice crackled out. That's a word girls toss around when they don't like how things turned out. She clicked it off, taped it under her shirt. Joelle watched her, quiet. "You sure it's enough?" "No," Nora said, "but it's loud." She walked out without another word. The rain had thinned. Town was waking slow. Doors creaked open. Shops lifted their blinds. The diner hissed on. She walked straight through the square. First stop, Miss Edna's front porch. "You remember Celia?" Nora asked. The old woman blinked behind thick glasses. She was just some baby. She was my sister. Miss Edna shifted. You ought to stop. I just started. Second stop. Deacon Hughes, out behind the chapel, sweeping puddles off stone. You ever read my mama's name in the ledgers? Nora asked. I don't recall. You baptized me, right? I did. She screamed the night before. You remember that? He looked down. I remember she wore white. Celia did too. Third stop. Mr. Vaughn, hardware store. Bent, slow, mean. You signed off on her death certificate, Nora said. It was a hanging. It was murder. You can't prove that. I don't need proof. I got memory. You get loud, you'll lose people. They're already gone. She kept moving. Each stop was the same. A question, a pause, a face gone pale, a door half shut. You remember Celia? She wasn't yours. She was my blood. She didn't matter. She does now. She died years ago. She died wrong. By the time she reached the courthouse, the clouds had thinned, but the mud stuck to her hem. She walked straight in, past the clerk, past the bailiff, straight to Calhoun's chambers. He looked up slow. You don't knock. No time. He set down his pen. You're not on docket. I'm filing. You're not counsel. I'm witness. He leaned back. For who? My mama, my sister, everyone else who didn't get a name. Calhoun sighed. You can't just reopen a case because you're mad. I'm not mad. I'm ready. You don't have legal standing. I have her words. Those aren't admissible. I have his voice. Calhoun paused. What? She reached under her shirt, pulled the recorder, set it on his desk, pressed play. She was confused, sick in the head. She bit me once. Drew blood. That's a word girls toss around when they don't like how things turned out. The words hung in the air. No music, no breath. Calhoun's jaw clenched. He didn't move for a long time. Nora waited. Finally, he looked up. You understand what happens if this gets out? Yeah. You'll ruin him. He already did that. You'll tear this town in half. It was already split. Calhoun looked at the recorder, then at her, then down at his hands. He nodded once. We'll draft the motion. Nora turned to go. Langley, he said. She stopped. You really think this'll fix it? No, she said, but it'll make 'em look. Then she left. Door swinging shut behind her. Rain starting again, soft and steady. A town ready to bleed. Joelle lit the last candle and stepped back. The dining room table was cleared, polished for the first time in years. No plates, no silverware, just space. The air was thick. The curtains were drawn. The piano in the next room sat quiet, covered again in its old sheet. Outside, footsteps approached slow. Gravel shifted. Doors opened, closed, opened again. Joelle nodded once. They're here. Nora stood by the hallway, hands at her sides. She didn't speak. The women entered one by one, heads bowed, coats clutched, eyes scanning corners like they were walking into church with a sin in their pocket. No men followed. None dared. They filled the room quiet. Some leaned on canes. Some carried baskets. Some held nothing but breath. Miss Edna came in first, sat near the head. Her lip was split. Didn't explain why. Behind her, Ruth Hatcher, black eye, swollen cheek, fresh, covered in makeup that had melted in the heat. Then came Alma, then Bernice, then Darlene, dragging her leg. Joelle closed the door once the last woman was inside. You all know why you're here. Nobody replied. Nora stepped forward. Set the first item on the table, a baby's cloth, soft and folded, Celia's name stitched in thread, barely holding. Then came her locket. Then the baptism photo. Then the diary page, creased from her palm. Nora looked around. I'm not here for revenge. I'm here for the ones who didn't make it. Miss Edna nodded. Say it plain. I ain't testifying for me. Who then? For them. The room held still. Then movement. Slow at first. Ruth reached into her coat, pulled out a child's shoe, set it down. Bernice followed. A hymn book, torn in half, pages wrinkled. Darlene placed a broken rosary. Its beads rattled. No one explained their object. They didn't have to. The table filled, piece by piece. Buttons, ribbons, letters, rings, hair ties. A note written on a napkin that simply said, I tried. Joelle added a wooden spoon, the one her sister used to play piano with when the keys were too cold. More came. A photograph, a braid, a crumpled shirt with blood on the collar, a church bulletin dated 25 years ago with a woman's name scratched out in the margin. No one cried. They just placed their truth and stepped back. The table changed. It wasn't a table anymore. It was an altar. Nora looked around. Anybody want to speak? Silence. Then wheels creaked. Everyone turned. In the corner sat Mrs. Mabel in her chair, paralyzed since '88. Her hands curled inward. Her voice hadn't been heard in over a decade. She cleared her throat. "I played that damn piano too," she said. The women stared. No one clapped. No one gasped. Just silence, the kind that meant someone had finally said it. Joelle stepped forward. "They called her crazy." "They always do," Ruth said. "They called her a liar." "Still do," Darlene added. "They said she made it up." "She didn't," Nora said. They stood in that room, nothing holy but the sound of memory. Joelle looked at the table. "You know they'll come for us now." Nora nodded. "Let 'em." Mrs. Mabel smiled. "Let the wolves howl. We got teeth now." No one cheered, but no one left. Nora dragged the piano into the center of the square just after dawn. Wheels cracked, legs wobbled. The courthouse steps watched. No one came to help. No one came to stop her. Joelle stood behind her, holding a rusted stool. "You sure this'll work?" "I don't need it to work." "Then what?" "I need them to hear." They placed it dead center, keys facing west, strings warped. Wood chipped, one leg splintered from rot. The wind moved through town like it knew something was coming. The women came first, quiet, one by one. No words, just nods. Chairs under arms, coats tight. They circled the piano like it was holy. Miss Edna brought a bench. Ruth Hatcher brought her hymn book. No men moved, not yet. Nora stood at the keys, ran her fingers across the dust. The lowest note croaked, the highest one screamed. Joelle touched her shoulder. Let her play. Mrs. Mabel wheeled forward. Someone had strapped boards to her wrists, a kind of brace. Let her press the keys with weight. She rolled up, looked straight ahead. "You remember what to play?" Nora asked. "I never forgot." She hit the first chord. It sounded like the church cracking open. The women didn't speak. Mrs. Mabel kept going. Slow. Unsteady but true. Across the square, doors opened. Men stepped out, watched from porches. One lit a cigarette. Another pulled his son back inside. The song kept going. Joelle whispered, "They're listening. They're remembering." The next chord rang louder. Notes vibrated. Something in the air cracked. From the far side of town, boots hit pavement. Sheriff Bell walked toward them, gun on his belt, hat low, shirt pressed. He didn't speak until he reached the edge of the circle. "You done?" Nora turned. "You late. What is this?" "A reckoning. I see women sittin'. Nothing new." "You hear that?" He glanced at the piano. "Noise. She played that when you hurt her." He shifted. She was sick. She was screaming. He looked at the women. "Y'all come here to watch her fall apart?" Joelle stepped forward. "We came to watch you leave." Bell smirked. "I was the law." "You were a curse," Joelle said. Nora didn't flinch. "You want to confess, or you want to burn?" Bell's hand touched his holster. Light. "You threatening me?" "No," she said. "I'm telling you the storm already passed. You just didn't hear it." Bell looked around. The circle held. No one stepped back. Mrs. Mabel hit another chord, the sharp one, the one that didn't sound right. Bell twitched. "You gonna shoot us all?" Ruth asked. "Maybe." "Try it," Edna said, "and I'll drag you to hell myself." Bell stepped back, just half a step. Then he turned. He walked fast, toward his truck. "Where you going?" Joelle called. "Where he always goes," Nora said. "Away." He didn't answer. Got in. Slammed the door. Drove. Tires peeled. Dust rose. The piano kept playing. The women stayed. No one moved until the last note faded. Nora closed the cover over the keys. "They'll say we made it up," Joelle whispered. "Let 'em. They'll say he had a reason. He didn't." The sun broke through cloud. Nora looked at the courthouse. "Should we go inside?" Ruth asked. "No," Nora said. "We just were." That night, someone found Bell's truck at the edge of the old church. Door open, keys inside, floating in the baptism pool, half submerged, engine still warm. No body, just a hat. Face down, Spinning slow, the courthouse sat silent, its steps bare. No flags, no voices. The sheriff's station was dark. Blinds pulled, doors bolted. No one stood on duty, no cruiser out front. Nora dragged the piano across the square with both hands on the frame. Wheels rusted, one leg splintering with each step. The wood groaned, but held. She pushed it until it sat dead center, in front of the fountain, facing east, like the old courtroom once did. Joelle followed behind her with folding chairs and a single white sheet folded under her arm. "You sure about this?" Joelle asked. "It ain't a trial," Nora said. "It's a reckoning." They set the chairs in a wide circle. No ropes, no stage, just dirt and dust and silence. Nora pulled the sheet back. The piano looked worse in sunlight. One key missing. A crack down the lid. The seat creaked when she sat. Joelle looked out across the square. They'll come? They're already watching. They waited. Women arrived first. Old, young, stiff-legged, broad-backed. Most came quiet. Some carried objects tucked in pockets, under jackets. One had a hymnal. Another carried a bundle wrapped in a kitchen towel. They didn't ask questions. Just sat. Some nodded. Most didn't. Mrs. Mabel wheeled herself to the edge of the circle. Joelle helped her position by the low step. A girl named Elsie held the handles of her chair and waited. Then came Ruth, Alma, Darlene, Edna. No makeup, no smiles. Nora stood. No speeches, no prayers, no men. Joelle said, "Start." Nora sat at the piano. Her fingers hovered, then dropped. The first chord rang raw, sharp, unpolished. Dust lifted from the strings. The sound reached past the buildings, down the alleys, up toward windows where curtains stirred. She played slow, simple, familiar, a melody her mother used to play, the one she banged out between sobs, the one that tried to drown the noise of boots and fists. A second verse started, and Mrs. Mabel took over. Her hands rested on rubber braces. Her fingers moved crooked but steady. The notes changed, softer, deeper. The sound carried. Men peeked from doorways, lit cigarettes, folded arms. No one stepped closer. Ruth hummed under her breath. Alma joined her. Joelle watched the sheriff's office. Still locked. Then he came. Boots first, dark jacket, gun belt riding high. Sheriff Bell walked down the main street like he owned it, jaw tight, eyes scanning. He stopped at the edge of the square. His boots hit the gravel once, twice, 3 times. No one stood for him. He looked at the piano. Then at Nora. "What is this?" he asked. "You came," she said. "Didn't answer me." "It ain't for you." "Looks like a stunt." "It's a sound," she said. "And you can't kill sound." He took a step forward. "You done dragging ghosts around yet? You want to confess, or you want to burn?" Bell's lip curled. "I was the law." Joelle stood. "You were a curse." He pointed at her. "You got no right." "You earned every word," she said. "You don't scare me." "You should be scared," Ruth said. Bell looked around. "What is this? You think this makes you brave?" "It makes us loud," Edna said. "You think people care what you play?" "No," Nora said. "But you do." Bell stepped forward again. "You planning to try me out here? In public?" "You already tried yourself," Nora said. "Long ago." Bell's fingers brushed the grip of his gun. Nobody flinched. Mrs. Mabel kept playing. The same 4 notes, over and over, the same sound that once crawled up floorboards, wrapped itself around a terrified girl. Bell's voice cracked. "You don't know what the hell you're doing." "We know exactly what we're doing," Joelle said. "I kept this town in line." "You buried it," Nora said. "I protected." "You prayed." He looked at the crowd. No one moved. No one blinked. Then he turned, walked back the way he came, fast, unsteady. No one followed. That night they found his truck. No note, no footprints, just the tailgate open, seat empty. It sat half submerged in the baptism pool. His hat floated beside it, face down. Still spinning, the hat spun twice, then drifted into shadow. Nora watched it long enough to forget the sound of footsteps behind her. Joelle's voice was soft. "He gone?" Nora didn't answer. "You think he jumped?" "He ran." "Same thing." "No," Nora said. "One's afraid. The other knows he's done." By morning, the trucks rolled in. Bulldozers, backhoes, dump trailers, no ceremony, no flags, no speeches. The courthouse stood crooked in the pale light. Its roof caved in, vines twisting through cracks in the siding. Someone had painted a red X on the front doors. Nora stood across the street, arms folded. "You ready?" the foreman asked. "Rip it," she said. The first claw hit the front face. Wood splintered. A shutter fell clean off. Joelle winced at the sound. "You feel that?" she asked. "Yeah." "What is it?" "History breaking loose." They didn't touch the piano. It had already been moved, but the benches snapped easy. The judge's bench shattered on impact. As the wall came down, Nora stepped forward and climbed over the debris. She ducked inside the foundation where the floor still held. "What are you doing?" Joelle called. "Looking." She kicked past ash and splinters, pulled up a warped floorboard near the back where her mother used to sit during trials. Underneath, molded boxes, yellowed folders, a rusted file tin wrapped in cord. Joelle crouched beside her. "What is it?" Nora opened the first one. Inside, photos. Black and white. Dates scrawled in red marker. Baby cribs. Hospital ledgers. One note said, "Stillborn. No record filed." Another, "Unfit mother. Child removed." A third folder held names. Half of them scratched out. The margins full of notes, payment amounts, initials, locations. Joelle whispered, "It's all here. Celia. And the rest." Nora held the papers like they might tear if she breathed too hard. A final folder, thickest of all. It was labeled Langley Emsabel S. Special Casework. Do not destroy. Nora shoved the whole box into a crate and stood. Joelle watched her. "What are you going to do with it?" "Keep it." "Turn it in." "They'll bury it again." "You sure you're ready for what happens after?" Nora looked at the ruins. It's already happened. By dusk, the last of the courthouse had been hauled off. What remained was dust, brick, silence, and Nora. That night, she walked alone to the church ruin. The foundation still stood, black with soot. She stepped down into the shell of it, where the air felt heavier, the same spot where she'd pulled the chain from the baptism pool. The same place the piano belonged. It took 2 hours, a wagon, and a crowbar, but she got it in, set it right in the middle. Cracked wood, busted key, same sound. She wiped off the dust, opened the lid, set a hand-painted sign beside it. Wood, white paint, for the ones who didn't get to sing. She sat on the bench, eyes on the keys, didn't press them. Joelle came down the hill holding the folded cloth. Celia's. She placed it gently on top. "They won't remember the way you want," she said. "They'll remember enough." "You mad it ain't louder?" Nora shook her head. Silence was the first weapon. "So what's this?" "A different one." They sat together, quiet. Above them, the moon rose behind the burned beams. The piano didn't play, but it didn't have to. The new courtroom smelled of sawdust and paint. The floors were flat. No creaks, no warped planks. The benches were uniform, bolted. Every corner lined up clean. They'd even stained the walls, as if color might drown memory. The town's flag hung limp outside, lowered halfway. Nobody asked why. Nora stood in the back row. Didn't sit, didn't stay long. She kept her arms folded and eyes ahead. Judge Calhoun sat up front. Same bench, same silence, just new wood. He didn't look at her. She left before they spoke her name. Outside, the wind pulled at her coat. She walked past the diner, past the empty sheriff's station still boarded. No badge on the door, just a mark where one used to hang. Bell's cruiser sat rusting in the grass beside it. The tires were flat. No one had moved it since. The square was quiet. The old courthouse lot was flattened, gravel packed tight. She stepped around it without looking back, down the hill, past the dead tree line, toward the blackened church ruins. She took the path slow. The sun was low, no birds, no sound. The church had no roof, no stained glass, just pillars and bones. The stone floor cracked under her boots. The walls sagged, holding nothing but ash. The piano sat in the center, still, waiting. She stepped down into the old foundation, one foot, then the other. Her coat shifted as she moved. Her hand stayed inside the pocket. She stopped at the piano, brushed her fingers across the keys, but didn't press. She sat, back straight, eyes forward. Then from her coat, she pulled out the locket, the same one her mother had worn, the same one she'd slammed down in the courtroom weeks ago. Now it was clean. The rust was gone. The hinge moved smooth. She opened it. Inside was the photo. A baby in a baptism dress, white lace, bare feet, one hand curled in sleep. Her mother held her, jaw tight. Tired eyes, not scared anymore, just worn. Nora stared. She didn't cry, didn't blink. The edges of the photo had been wiped clear. What was left was soft, honest. She closed the locket, set it on the piano. She pressed a single key. G. The note hung in the ruin. She pressed again. A minor chord. Low, barely held. Then she played. Slow at first, each note cautious, then steadier. She played the hymn her mother used to hum while folding laundry, the one she banged out when the house got too loud. She didn't look up. Didn't need to. The wind picked up, shifting through the beams. Dust moved around her feet. She kept playing. Footsteps on stone, behind her. Slow, familiar. Joelle stopped just outside the doorway. Didn't speak. Nora finished the verse. Let the last note hang. Then she asked, "You been up to the courthouse?" Joelle nodded. Briefly. They scrubbed it too clean. Still smells like ghosts. Like sawdust trying to be forgiveness. Joelle stepped closer. They say you won't let it go. They're right. They say it's over. It's not. They don't want to see you keep playing. They never did. Joelle sat on a cracked pew near the back. You still hear her. Not like before. Joelle tilted her head. And how's it now? Quiet. Good or bad. Just quiet. Joelle watched her fingers move over the keys. I saw Mrs. Mabel this morning. Said the town hasn't felt this still since '84. Still or scared? Both. Nora looked at the locket. She'd never let go of it. Joelle said, I'm not either. Nora said. Joelle asked, so it's yours now? It was always mine. They just didn't want me to open it. Nora played another chord, one she didn't know the name of, just felt it out. You believe in curses? Joelle asked. Nora didn't answer. You think he was cursed? I think he was never afraid of consequence. Joelle nodded. Same thing. They sat there a long while. The wind moved through in slow waves. Nora reached out and touched the locket again. Joelle said, It's strange, ain't it? How something so small can carry so much. It ain't the metal, Nora said. It's the silence wrapped around it. Joelle leaned forward. You ever open that envelope again, the one your mama left? No. Why not? I don't need to. Joelle squinted. That ain't like you. I already know what it says. All of this. She gestured at the piano. The ruin, the sky, was the letter. Joelle smiled, small. She'd be proud. She wouldn't say it. She wouldn't have to. Nora looked toward the broken altar at the front of the church. They ever find Belle's body? She asked. No. Good. Joelle stood, brushed dust from her knees. They'll come after you next, she said. They already tried. You ready if they try again? I'll be louder. Joelle walked to the piano, set a folded cloth down beside the locket. Celia's, still white, still soft. You know, Joelle said, I went to the square yesterday. The old women still meet there. What do they talk about? Not men. Nora smirked. You think that's enough? Joelle asked. No. You still believe in God? Nora pressed one last chord. Low. Full. She didn't look up. No, she said, I believe in women. And the ruin held that truth. Soft. Unshaken. The piano didn't cry, but it remembered.